Hi guys, today we're going to be working with grade 10 inequalities. First, we're going to define what is an equality, how to work with the inequalities, and how are they different from normal equations. So let's just take an inequality. Let's say it's x is greater than 3. Now what we're saying is there is a number, we don't really know what the number is, but it's defined as being greater than 3. So it's not one specific number. It's all the numbers greater than 3, which would be 4, 5, 1 million. All these numbers are greater than 3. So how would we represent that? We'd go onto a number line, we'd put that in, right? And we'd put 3. Now that basically says every number on this number line that goes above 3 is correct for this inequality. So if I were to put, for example, 4 in here, 4 is greater than 3, 5 is greater than 3, though you must understand that it also includes all decimals. So 4,5, 4,7, and there's an infinite amount of numbers there. Now, as we're working with these inequalities, there's something else you got to understand, which is what happens when I have this little line underneath, which means x is greater than or equal to 3. And when I have this, the difference is I'm including this 3. So when I draw this now, I'm going to have a circle dot like that. It's filled in. And I'm going to have 3, and it's all the numbers greater than and including 3. That's the big difference with that little line underneath. It means it also equals the 3, whereas the other one, it starts from 3,000,000,000,000,000,1, for example. I hope you guys get the idea. Now, working with your inequalities, it's very similar to working with your equations. So if I had something like 2x is greater than 6, I then divide both sides by 2, and then I'll get x is greater than 3, and then I'll put that onto my number line. It does not say it's greater than equal or and equal to, so we just have the round circle. I'll put 3 here, and then I put my line going across like this. Solved. The major difference with working with the inequalities is this. When you're working with an inequality and there's a negative, so let's say I had negative x is greater than 3. So with the equations, I'll multiply by -1 here, so I'll get x. Now, instead of it being greater than, it'll change to a less than, and I'll have -3. So let's see if this is true. If I were to put in a number into this original, let's say I put in the number, what's less than negative? Let's say I put in the number -4. If I put in the number -4 here, and it has a minus here, you can see that this number now becomes 4 is greater than 3, which is true. So if you don't apply that step where you change it from a less than and a greater than, your answer isn't going to be correct. So let's represent this now. I'd have a -3 here. It's going to be a round open dot, and it's going to be this way. So that's the basics of the theory. We're now going to go into some examples and work through them. Now moving on to these inequalities, we have 3 types of inequalities we're going to work with. First, our linear inequalities, then ones with fractions and multiplication, and then our double inequalities. So with our linear inequalities, I always like having my x on the left hand side, and the reason for that is because the way the inequality will point is the way I'm going to draw my number line. So I'll say we're working with this question right here. So I'll say x less than 2x plus 5 plus 3. And I'm going to bring this 2x onto the left hand side, so I'll have -x is less than 8, because x minus 2x will be negative x. Now I'm going to times by the negative 1, and I'll have x is greater than 8. I'm going to put this onto our number line, round dot, and we're just going to go greater than 8. There, just like that, you've got this question correct. If you've seen this on TikTok, or if you forwarded here, then please go and watch the theory, because when I'm going through this, you're not going to understand really how things are happening, and the theory first part of this video is really helpful. On to our second question. So now we're just going to multiply out the brackets. I'll have 4x minus 12 minus 2x plus 1 is greater than or equal to 0. And then I'll have, I'm going to have plus 2. So I'll have 2x minus 10 is greater than or equal to 0. I'm going to have 2x is greater than or equal to 10, and I'm going to have x is greater than or equal to 5. I'm going to put this on my number line. I'm going to have 5 here, circle dot, and then greater than is going this way. We're now moving on to these fraction questions, like this one right here. And what I like to do with these fraction questions is I ask myself, what's the lowest common multiple for 4 and 2? And that is 4. 2 can go into 4 and 4 can go into 4. So I'll multiply every term in that by 4. And that will leave me with 3x minus 4x, okay, is less than or equal to 1 and 1 over 2 times 4. Now, when you put in this 1 and 1 over 2 into your calculator, you can't just write down 1, press the fraction key, and then put 1 over 2. You have to press shift and then your fraction key, because that's a mixed number. You do that, you go 1 and 1 over 2 times 4, and you get 6. So I'll have negative x is less than or equal to 6, and then I'll have x is greater than or equal to negative 6. Put this onto my number line, close dot, greater than or equal to, I'm going to have negative 6. We're now working with this question right here. And here we only have one number in our denominator, and that's 3. So I multiply every term by 3. Plus 5 plus 3y is less than or equal to 3. I'll have 4y is less than or equal to negative 2. I got the negative 2 by bringing the 5 onto the other side and doing 3 minus 5. And I'll have y equals negative 2 over 4, which is, why am I writing equal to? We have less than and equal to. And then I'll have y is less than or equal to negative half. So I'm going to put this into my number line. So I'm going to have negative a half, and it's going to go this way. On to the next. We're now working with this question right here. And we're just going to multiply all these terms out, and we're going to use our distribution. So I'll have x times the x, I'll get an x squared minus 4x plus 3x minus 12 is less than or equal to x squared plus 4x Oh, I don't know why I have a y here. This should be an x plus 3x minus 12. X squared plus 4x minus 3x minus 12. Okay, and then I'm going to simplify both sides. I have x squared minus x minus 12 is less than or equal to x squared plus x minus 12. Now you'll see that when you bring in these other terms over, this term here will cancel off with this term here. This negative 12 will cancel with this negative 12. And now what I'm left with is negative x less than or equal to x. So I'll have minus 2x is less than or equal to 0. I have x is greater than or equal to 0. We're going to put that into our number line. I have 0 here, and it's greater than or equal to. Time to move on to our double inequalities. Let's do this question right here. So this is slightly different with the double inequalities, but we're still applying the same principles. So here I'm going to put this 2, move it on both sides, and it's going to come negative 2 for both sides. So I'll end up having negative 5 is less than x, but greater than x is less than 2. Okay, so now we're going to put this onto our number line. Okay, we're going to put our negative 5 here. We're going to draw a line, put this here. We're going to have our 2. We're going to draw a line and put this here. So this is saying negative 5 is less than x. So if negative 5 is less than x, x is somewhere in this region right here, because this would be greater than negative 5. And then if x is less than 2, then x is also in this region right here. And because we can see it is in that region, we're going to just join this. So your final answer is going to look like this. Moving on to this question. So we have this negative 2. We're going to bring it onto both sides. It becomes positive 2. I'll have minus 6 is less than 3x, and I'm going to have less than, we're going to make it a positive 6. I'm going to divide both sides by 3, then I'm going to have negative 2x here less than, and that's less than 2. Okay, now let's go on to our number line. It's okay if you don't see the number line straight away. We're going to use a type of thinking to get it. So we're going to have our negative 2. We're going to have our 2, because that is our critical values, our key values. We're going to put this here up here, this up here, put a circle here, because it doesn't say including. Now it's saying negative 2 is less than x. So that would mean x is somewhere here, because the negative 2 is less than, it's somewhere in this region. And it's also saying that 2 is greater than x, because x is less than 2, which is also in this region. Now since both of them show that it's in this region, when you read them separately, all we got to do is join these lines, and this would be your final answer. Moving on to our last question. Okay, so again we're going to now take this 2 onto both sides. From positive 2 is going to become a negative 2, so we're going to have negative 4 less than or equal to negative x, which is less than 2. We're going to multiply by this negative, and we're going to have negative 4, just negative 4, will now be greater than or equal to x, and now x will then be greater than 2. So now let's put this into our number line. My critical values will be negative 4. I'm going to draw this, and this is going to be a closed circle because you can see we have the equal to there, and this is going to be a round circle, an open circle. And when we're working with this is going to be 2. We got to find which regions is this falling into. Now, it's saying negative 4 is greater than x. That would mean if negative 4 is here, all these numbers are less than. So if x is here, then negative 4 is greater than x. Okay, so it's that region. And if you look at this 2, it says x is greater than 2, which is this region right here. So we're going to take our line and we're going to draw it through these sections. And that is how you do double inequalities. Hope you guys enjoyed this video and it was helpful. Please leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below how I can help you guys more.